We've all felt it before, that unsettling sensation that someone or something is watching us when we turn around. There's nothing there, or have we? Sometimes our hunches tell us something is amiss, but we choose to ignore them. Then we wish we hadn't. Here are a few stories of people who got these kinds of warnings, and what happened next shocked them. But first, if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more terrifying tales. Angela's dream. Angela had never been much for dreams. In fact, she rarely recalled having them, which was probably why it took her so long to realize that the dream she'd had last night wasn't just a dream at all. She was 19 and living with her boyfriend in a modest apartment. The walls were thin and the neighbors were loud. So usually, Angela wore earplugs while she slept. This time, however, she hadn't, and the memory of that night still sent chills down her spine. She awoke suddenly, heart pounding and drenched in sweat. As she sat up, she realized that she had been dreaming about her neighbor, Mrs. Gable. In the dream, Mrs. Gable had come into their bedroom in the middle of the night and lunged at her. Angela could still feel the phantom pain of those sharp nails digging into her arm. But the strangest part was that she could remember everything else about the dream vividly, even though she couldn't recall any other details about her dream. This wasn't normal. But since her boyfriend, John, was snoring softly beside her, and the sun was streaming through the window, she decided that it must have just been a nightmare and went back to sleep. When she woke up again, John was gone, and it was already late morning. That's when she noticed the scratches on her arm. They weren't made by her cat, and they didn't look like any other markings she'd seen before. They were human fingernails. Hours later, when John came home, he dismissed them as something Angela had done to herself in her sleep. But then, the strange things started happening. Items began to go missing. Little things like Angela's favorite blouse or the TV remote. Then bigger things started disappearing, too, like their microwave. Angela started finding small, mysterious scratches everywhere, on the doorframe, on the baseboard, and soon she began hearing strange noises in the middle of the night. One day, Angela found a key under her pillow. It wasn't one of their keys. And another day, a pair of scissors appeared on her desk. Scissors that looked exactly like the ones Mrs. Gable used. Then, one night, Angela heard footsteps coming from the closet in the middle of the night. She screamed, but no one answered. When she opened the closet door, it was empty except for a pair of muddy boots. Who could have left them there? Angela never saw Mrs. Gable outside wearing boots. Then, one morning, the police arrived to find Mrs. Gable dead in her bed. Apparently, she'd died from an overdose of sleeping pills. But looking at the scene, the detective noticed something strange. Her jewelry was on, her purse was unzipped, and her TV remote was right next to her hand. When the police searched her house, they also found Angela's missing blouse, the microwave, and many other items that had been stolen from other neighbors. After that, Angela never heard any strange noises in the middle of the night ever again. In another man's shoes, a young man named Jared was spending the weekend alone in his family lake house. His parents had gone out of town and had told him to stay behind and watch the house. As far as Jared knew, he was completely alone until Friday night. He was sitting on the couch watching a movie when he heard what sounded like footsteps directly above him on the second floor. He thought nothing of it, chalking it up to the old house settling or maybe some nocturnal critters. But then Saturday night rolled around and Jared was awakened in the middle of the night by heavy footsteps. He assumed it was his dog, so he called the dog's name. But there was no reply. The footsteps stopped, then started again. Getting closer, Jared found himself paralyzed with fear as he listened to what sounded like heavy footsteps coming down the stairs. Then the doorknob to his bedroom turned. Too afraid to move, Jared watched as the door slowly creaked open. He squeezed his eyes shut, bracing for whatever or whoever was on the other side. But when he finally dared to open his eyes again, the room was empty. It wasn't until Sunday afternoon that Jared finally summoned up the courage to explore the second floor. He was shocked to find no one there, and then he noticed something peculiar. The ceiling in one of the spare bedrooms had partially collapsed, revealing a dusty, cobweb-filled space above the room. Jared figured that animals must have gotten into the attic and caused the damage, but he never did see any signs of critters. And the strange footsteps continued every night until Jared left the house, even though he never saw anyone or anything up there. The shadow in the attic, an elderly woman named Grace, was living alone in her old Victorian mansion. Or at least she thought she was. She always heard footsteps in the attic above her head, but whenever she went up there to investigate, she found nothing. It was driving her crazy. One day, she asked her niece to come over and help her clean out the attic. Grace hoped that together they could get rid of all the clutter and perhaps uncover the source of the strange sounds. But after hours of searching, they couldn't find anything. Just as they were about to call it quits, they noticed a loose floorboard. As Grace knelt down to inspect it, the board gave way and she fell through into the dark, dank space beneath the attic. When she finally managed to light a candle and wipe the dirt off her glasses, she gasped. Beneath the attic floor was another room, and standing in the corner was a shadowy figure that seemed to be watching her. She screamed and scrambled back over the floorboards, but the shadowy figure only grew larger. Grace ran out of the attic, never looking back, and never set foot in that house again. Years later, the house was torn down, and the mystery of the attic was never solved. The ghost in the nursery. Newlyweds Sarah and David moved into their first home together, excited to start their life as a married couple. It was a beautiful old house, but it came with a strange rumor. Apparently, the previous owner had drowned her baby in the very same nursery where Sarah and David now kept their crib. And many people in the neighborhood believed that the ghost of the baby still lingered there. Sarah and David were skeptical of ghosts, so they dismissed the story as superstitious nonsense. Then the strange occurrences began. At first, it was just the feeling of being watched. But soon they began hearing a rocking chair moving by itself and the sound of a rocking baby. Then they started finding strange symbols carved into the furniture and walls. The final straw came when the couple found their pet hamster dead, its body contorted in a frightening manner. Terrified that their home was cursed, Sarah and David sold the house at a loss and moved out, never looking back. What about you? Have you ever had a premonition that something bad was going to happen and then it did? Share your story in the comments below. And if you liked this video, be sure to check out the series, where each episode is guaranteed to keep you on the edge of your seat. See you next time.